Hello and welcome to Coding with Jess, where you get to code along with me while I build a thing. Although today's Coding with Jess will be a little mixed. We're going to do a 1 hour session today. For those of you who haven't been on Coding with Jess before, my name is Jess Martin. You can find me on the interwebs at jessmart.in and at Jess Martin on Twitter and GitHub and all the things. I mostly work on researchy, kind of into better computers type stuff. You can find more about my research interests on my website at jessmart.in. And the last 4 sessions, we've been actually working on a decentralized blogging application using a library called WebNative. We're going to do a little bit of coding on that decentralized blogging tool in a minute, but something I wanted to do just for fun, because I just got one of these, or this just came in the mail, is share a little e-ink device that I've been playing around with. I haven't had a chance to do any coding on it yet, but that could definitely be a future coding with Jess. It's a pretty neat little device. So, but if you have been on Coding with Jess before, or if you've watched this before, you know that we work in 25-minute Pomodoros and take 5-minute breaks in between. So let me go ahead and start up our first Pomodoro and we can dive right in. Let me see. Whoop, close Mumblr development. All right. Switch to the desktop. This is the little device we're going to talk about here in a second. And make sure I mute phone calls. And we will get started. Start tomato, here we go. All right, come back to that, come back to that, back to that. All right, I set up a little camera. And I just noticed that when I switch to that camera, you guys don't actually have audio. So I'm gonna add an audio device. This is like on the fly, doing it on the fly to this particular thing. And give me 2 seconds and I'll give you guys audio. Let's see, hold on, 2 more seconds here. Alrighty, haha, now we've got it. Okay, so this is the Badger 2040 little e-ink display. You notice it has this little slot here at the top. It's about the size of an index card. Notice I've got it plugged in here via a USB-C connection. It's got a single light on the back. This little guy right here is like a little slot for a lanyard. So the way that the Badger got its name is that it could be used as a badge for a conference, and at the price of about 15 bucks you could actually do that. A couple things that I like about this e-ink display, and then I'll talk about like why am I even playing with e-ink displays, is one, they did an amazing job with the sort of developer experience. I haven't had a chance to code anything for it yet, but it's pretty impressive what it comes preloaded with. So when I hit the A and C button, it takes me to this little home screen operating system type thing, and you'll see that they have sort of, you can see this little ticker on the right over here that's iterating as I go through these things. Has a clock, you know, you can see all the different fonts. You can actually read an ebook on it. It has like a simple ebook reader, an image. Let's go over here to the to-do list, little to-do list application you can go through. Let me see how. It's really hard to see which one of these is selected, but I think you can see the top right is selected there with that little grayed out hash mark pattern. I might make that hash mark pattern a little bit thicker, but you can see the check going in and off there. I can hit A and C to go back to the main operating system. So they loaded you up with a bunch of sample applications. And then the programming experience is looks pretty nice. I haven't done anything yet. This could be a future Coding with Jess video. So let's pop over here and I'll show you just a real quick look at how programming on this sucker works. So, where was the how-to? Fan of electronic paper, and then we'll talk about like why would I even want to do this. Okay, so getting started with Badger 2040. As you'll note, as I demonstrated, you can power it via USB-C cable. It also has this general purpose power thing on the back that you can use to like power with a battery pack with two AA's. You can power it via like a USB-C power bank, and just different ways. And they have different options here. They even have like if you want to print a case for this thing, like a back for it to protect the back. They have a model that you can grab for your 3D printer, which is just nifty doodle. And then the languages that this thing supports, it supports both MicroPython, which is like this little Raspberry Pi optimized version of Python, and then as well as C++ if you want to do something a little bit more intense. But anyway, super interesting little device. Oh, I forgot to show off one of my favorite features of it. Let me switch back over here real quick. One of the coolest things about the Badger is the e-ink display. This is a feature of e-ink in general, is that when let's go to actually the image, or actually go to the badge here, because the badge really appropriately displays. So we're going to open this badge. You'll notice that it's got, my name, H Badger, my face, that kind of stuff. Now I'm going to unplug the power. Boop. What happened? Nothing. Isn't this cool? Like so you get without power, the e-ink display maintains the last image that you had on there. So even without any battery power, carrying this thing around, you've got this sort of e-ink image that is permanently etched on here. I don't know how permanent it is. The permanence of an e-ink display would actually be a really interesting thing to talk about. But anyway, pretty nifty little device. You can see how even writing a program to just write simple text to the screen, super simple, 5 lines, and you get this Hello Badger. So this might be a future Coding with Jess thing that I want to play with. You can also connect directly to the device via USB-C and treat it like a USB drive. And then if you edit the text, there's like text files on the USB drive. If you edit the text files, you can edit the items on the to-do list. And there's also a place where you can edit the badge name and the image and all that kind of stuff. So you can, like, without having to write a program or program it at all, you can update the content of the images, which is, I thought, pretty well done for, a consumer device that's supposed to have developers are supposed to play with it and that kind of stuff. It's remarkably easy to use. So I definitely recommend checking it out, go and buying it, buying one to play with. I actually bought 2. So I have a second one here just in case I want to use it. But bigger question, why the heck, Jess, are you buying random e-ink devices? In fact, I have another one that I haven't even opened yet that's a little bit larger that I'll probably open at a future time. Why do I care about this stuff? Well, the short answer is, I've mentioned several times, you can go to my website to kind of read some of my thoughts on research. One of the things that I'm interested in is building turning my room, where I do most of my work, into more of a thinking space that promotes thinking both in an analog and a digital fashion. So I wrote an article last year called An Infinite Room for Thought, which is just a thought piece on how a room could be crafted to be a place where we could do work. And one of the really important things in An Infinite Room for Thought is the ability to use different displays or mediums to think with, and then be able to leave those displays out and open, and sort of the part of the ambient environment or the ambient awareness. If you think of like an artist's studio where they may be working on multiple different projects, but the projects that they're working on they don't disappear from sight when they're not working on them. They're still around. They're around the studio. They're over in that corner. There's still things spread out on this table. And so I wanted to enable something like that in my own digital environment. One of the tragedies I think of the digital environment is just this frame that we have that is like this little window into the digital world, and that's all we have. And when we hit Command H, whatever we were working on is just gone. So that's both a valuable thing, but also a really dangerous thing in that work can disappear. The ambient nature of work can disappear from our awareness, and it means that we have to have all these processes and practices to kind of draw it back to our minds of like, what are the things that are important? What are the things that I'm working on? All right, so enough waxing poetic about rooms for thinking and e-ink display. Let's talk about Mumblr and what we're going to work on today. So I've got my typical little work log from yesterday. We talked about our Badger 2040 at the beginning. Decided I'm not going to unbox the other one on this particular live stream. Maybe I'll do it on a future one. But anyway, a couple things that would be fun to do today. Again, I only have 2 Pomodoros today. This is a 1-hour session, which is a little bit unusual for me relative to other sessions that I do. So I wanted to do something a little bit more laid back, a little more chill, something that didn't require me to like load the entire program in my head and that kind of thing. So we're mainly going to make some UX and UI improvements to this Mumblr front end. So right now it's totally fine for me to use, but in terms of like allowing other people to use, if I kind of put on my user hat, if someone came to this website, came to this application, they wouldn't really know what was going on, and they wouldn't know. There's some like user experience interactions that would be a little weird. So I'll show you one of them. Let me open up another Chrome profile, which will not have my cookies and all that kind of stuff in it. So if I go to mumblr.netlify.app, as soon as you open the page, you are hit with a sign-in screen. And it's a little confusing, right? You got this giant Fission logo, which for most people on the interwebs, they've never heard of Fission, they've never seen it before. It doesn't look like you signed in on this device before. I was trying to go to Mumblr, this like blog, and now all of a sudden I'm being forced into this other sign-in flow from this other service that I've never heard of. A little confusing. And so I can't control this sign-up flow, but I can at least prevent it from hitting the user in the face right when they come in and let it be something that they initiate. So the first thing I thought we might do is actually add a login button that when you first visit the app and you're not logged in, it gives you the option to log in so that at least you feel like you're logging in. And maybe I'll even call it like log in through Fission and put the Fission logo in the button. That way when they see the logo on the next screen, it's not the first time they've ever seen it. So like log in with Fission. Yeah, that's actually kind of a good idea. I'm thinking of that on the fly about like, how do we help them not be shocked when they see Fission. There's some future stuff coming out with WinFS that's going to allow us to make this sign-in flow a little nicer. And by nicer, I mean nicer to the user, kinder to the user, and hopefully not confuse them less. But the way that the WinFS library that we're dealing with right now, I have to log in through what's called the Fission lobby. And so we're going to work with that for now. All right, so login with Fission would be a button that we'll add. One of the first things that we can do though, small, easy win, is just move this logout button to the right place. If you were watching 3 or 4 sessions ago when we were working on that, we were just working right at the end of a session and we just threw it up there in the corner and then kind of moving on from there. So let's go do that. And then we will look at the login button. All right, so pulling up our Mumblr thing here. This is our index.html thing. Really got to kill that thing there. Okay, log out. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so there's our input ID log out. What I'll probably want to do is just right align it. Let's see what containing element does this have. Body already has, I love this computed view over here. So the body already has a width on it that's limiting it from going too far to the left or the right. So I could come in here and tell this thing. Sometimes I like to prototype the styles in the CSS before I go in and edit there. So we could float this thing to the right. We probably would also want to drag it down so that order-wise it's after. No, that's right. We do want it to be the first thing if we're going to float it right. And then the reason margin top, the reason it's still so high up, so let's move it down. I'm looking at the spacing here. So we've got this, I could either space it so that it's halfway between these two things, which I think is roughly where this is, but this is not halfway. So maybe we need to bump our subtitle as well. And then we'll definitely want to add some left margin so that it's not pushing up against that that slogan there. Yeah, I think I want to line it up about halfway between the top bar and that. And then we'll move our subtitle up. Let's see. Margin top. Looks pretty good. Let's see what our H1 is. I think the H1's about middle already. I want to bring that, I think I want to bring that down a little more. I think what I did when I lined this up is I was looking at the bottom of Mumblr as a line that went straight across and lining the text up on that. And I technically could do the same thing for the log out button, but I definitely want the log out text and the subtitle text to be in the same spot. So let's do that. You can imagine like a line underlining this text. You would want that underline to pass through the log out as well. That looks pretty good. Not too bad. All right, so let's go ahead and take those rules right there. Pop over here to our CSS there, and then I try to group things together relatively close. So let's look for subtitle. Similar styles go together ideally. Did I give that thing? Yes, it has an ID. Okay. Log out. Paste those in there, and then subtitle, we had just said we want to change that a little bit. What was the new top margin? 36. So we'll move that to be 36. Change to P, 36. And let's refresh the page and see if we got it. Oh, no, that's right. Float right. Did I miss the main? Oh, that's because this is not local development. Hello, this is the deployed thing. All right, so come over to terminal, run dev. I think it's npm run maybe. All right, npm run dev. That'll start the Vite server. We'll open that up in localhost. Cool, everything looks good except not. It is floated, but the margin doesn't seem to be taking effect. Ah, oh, looks like I have some problem with that. Huh, that was weird. Why did it insert that extra px? Whatever, cool, looks good. That is what we were hoping for. So let's do a quick commit here. CI dash add position the log out button. All right, and that will auto deploy to Netlify once that comes in. All right, next thing that's a little bit more interesting is we actually want to have a log in button when you first get here. And the question is, what else needs to be on the screen when you first arrive, other than log in? Right now, we're not using a framework. You might remember when we first started working on this, we were mainly focused on learning how the WebNative library works. And so we did not adopt a framework. We decided we'd use TypeScript and use the WebNative library and sort of raw TypeScript, HTML, and CSS with no front-end framework. And so right now we only have a single index HTML page. The simplest solution here would be probably to hide these things and then put the login button in their place and maybe hide log out. So let's see what that looks like. What if we came in Actually, let's make the changes in CSS real quick. Whoops. Over here. Move the browser over here to the right, where we can like watch the changes as we make them. Hide that sidebar. So we're just going to do display hidden for these. Oops. Hide that. Hide the title input, body input. I thought this would auto refresh. Huh. Let's see what's going on here. Doesn't seem to be. It's not accepting my display hidden on the body input. I wonder why. Display block is overriding it, I guess. But that's lower in the stack. That's for all text areas. And then I'm actually specifying text areas with this body input should be hidden. All right, we're not going to bang important that. Let's figure out, do we have a ID on these? We do not have IDs, because that would be the easiest way to do the hide. Let's see. We do have an ID on the post button. Let's see if we have luck there. Go away. Hide. Hide. Hide yourself. Let's see. No. It really does not like that. Oh, display none. Good grief. Oh, man. Display hidden is not a thing. You would not know that I've been doing CSS for like 20 years if you were watching just now. Yeah. Easy to forget even the basics sometimes. All right, cool. So we just display none, a bunch of junk. And why did the footer jump up to the top of the screen? What the heck? Do I have it floated? That doesn't make any sense. It's a display block and what? I didn't reorder anything. Footer is after. Oh, I bet the H1s and that kind of stuff are floated. I bet H1 input, all that kind of stuff is floated in different directions. And so those are floated and are not display blocked. And so we end up with this guy. All right, well, what we could do is we want to add another input. This one is going to be log in. Log in. We're going to do log in with Fission. Ooh, actually something I'm kind of curious about now is, and we'll make this one, we'll give this one some style that will force the footer to the bottom. Curious. So subtitles floated right, logout is floated right, header title is floated left, header is display flex. So if it's display flex, it will have no. Oh, it's a little weird, right? Because we're using flexbox to line up the header, but we're not using flexbox for the elements in the header. So we probably want to actually redo our style ordering, or our ordering on the subtitle and title input. But let's see if we can just force this to work. So this guy, let's do display block. Okay, yeah, that's the default. It's display block. Width 100%. I did like 20%. Interesting. So it's floating around. Yeah, there we go. Clear will do it. All right, so we'll do, where's our login button? Oh, I haven't styled it yet. Okay, cool. Log in, do clear both, and margin 0 auto to center it, I think. Yeah, there we go. Still got it, margin 0 auto. There's probably a Flexbox way to do that, but that is the old ways. And as they say, the old ways are the best ways. Okay, so it'd be really cool if we could get the logo in here as well, like a little icon in line and image in a input submit text. I'm actually curious if this is possible. We're probably going to have to make this value equals text. Put the image to the left of the text. Ah, okay. Got it. So he's using the background. It's clever. It's clever. Using the background of the image to like put an image in the background and then give padding so that it doesn't get overridden. That could work. Could do that. All right, let's see what I was just talking about was the Fission logo. So let's see if we can just grab it from the actual screen here. So save image as logo.svg. Ooh, it's an SVG. Interesting. That may not be what we want. Let's see, code, Mumblr, source. Oops. All right, we've got our little SVG logo here, and we're going to add it to the background of this image. Close that now. I really like this idea. It's pretty clever, actually. Background. Oh, 5-minute break. All right, cool. We will be, yeah. I just noticed Million Grad's comments in the chat pointing out that, yeah, there is a display none and visibility hidden, and I was confusing the two. Thanks for the pointer. Sweet. So we have end of our first 5-minute Pomodoro. Take 5. I'll be back in 5 minutes, and we'll do one more Pomodoro. See you guys in 5 minutes. All right, y'all, we're back. We're gonna do one more Pomodoro today. Again, this is a short session. Let's jump right in. I did not walk away from the computer during my Pomodoro break like I normally do, but I guess with this shorter session, I'm kind of thinking about keeping moving ahead. All right, so we've got the login button here. The logo dark is imported. I went ahead and did a padding right here on this button and added that, but it is not uh, showing my. Cool. It is actually setting the background, which is cool. Let's see. Refresh again. All right, great. So the background settings working. I don't think that URL is being hosted at the, or sorry, that logo is being hosted at the right spot. So I threw it in the source directory, which I think would mean that, it looks like it's in assets, maybe? Favicon. No. All right, so how does Vite actually generate or host images? Do I need to do something special here? This is my first time using Vite, so let's see, Vite.js, images, static asset handling. That's what I'm looking for. All right, importing a static asset will return the resolved public URL when it's served. Wait, what? The public directory, that's what I'm looking for. If you have assets that are never referenced in source code, must retain the exact same file name without hashing. Oh, so I could have it like, yeah, I could do it a more fancy way, but no need to do that. Native ESM feature here. What? New URL. I don't want to reference it from. Huh. So this is all for referencing it from the JavaScript. I'm trying to reference it from CSS, which does not have. Ooh, interesting. Differences that blah, 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 blah. All right. This is a little bit too descriptive and a little bit, I want something a little bit more tutorial-like. Just show me the solution. Show me it working somewhere. CSS full path for images. Sure. There you go. Great example. Background URL. That's what I want to do. When transpiled, I would be nice to inject the full path to avoid any problems. Looks like he might be misunderstanding the way this works. This may not be a great image or a great example here. Here's the repository. You need to make your main server also serve static files in the Vite directory. This is not something Vite will handle. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry, I know I'm scrolling through this really fast, which is hard for y'all to follow necessarily. Blah, 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 blah. Here we go. Preprocessor options. Less. So this is if you're using the root path is localhost source. That I think is already true. And I would think that would be in the Vite config here. Doesn't really say. Huh. So some reason the favicon. Oh, okay. So I actually don't want this in source. I want this in the root move. I just noticed the favicon is getting generated appropriately. But it's going to get generated with this crazy hash on the end of it, which I guess is for caching or some fanciness. So let's see. So I'm going to need to wonder how the favicon is getting imported. Favicon.svg. Well, let's just see if that worked. Log in with Fission. Boom. All right. It did. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool. So now we've got that. Now we just need to style it up appropriately. So let's see here. Byte. I think we can set background size. Let's see, like 40, 30 pics, 20 pics or something like that. Yes, there we go. Nice. And then more padding. And the background position, I believe, is something else we can set. Yep. We'll want to great. That looks good. And then let's pad this over. No, wrong direction. No repeat, top left. Oh, this is centered, right. So we could say 10. What are the fields that background position takes? Let's see. Let's go to MDN position. Trying to remember here. Okay, it's wait, top right, bottom 50%, right 100%. See how we want to do right. Grid. See how that works. There we go. Now we're getting there. 100. Don't need that much padding. Say 100 pixels. 80. Man, I love how fast Byte refreshes. It's insane. Okay, well now we can take off the words fission and we'll have it just say login with that. Whoa, why did that move the thing? Oh, I guess I took away some of the width was created by the text. So now this in. And a little more padding. Boom, looking pretty good there. One thing I don't like about this, and it's probably not visible in the live stream, is the color of the text is slightly different than the color of the logo, but I'm gonna let that go for now. It's a pretty minor nitpick. 110. The spacing is still a little bit off to my eye. Yeah, that looks good. Log in with Fission. Right step. Okay, we can also hide the log out button. And then what we'll do, where's log out, log out, log out. Display none there. Cool. This looks not bad actually. So now what we'll need to do is after you log in, we'll need to, well, we need to make this redirect to the right place. So there's a couple of changes to our code here. Over in byte config can go away. Main TS, all right. Open this up. 15 minutes left. We can definitely get through this. All right, so right now it does the initialize as soon as the application starts. And what we're going to want to do is say, don't do that right away. Instead, only do that after clicking this button. So where is our log out button? We can copy the code, the event code from that. And use that to start the application. So right here will be log in, and we'll go over here to the log in button. login, add event listener, click, do a thing. And the thing we want to do is actually initialize WebNative, which will force a login. Oh, interesting. So it's a little more complicated than this, because this will handle the first time use case where they come in and they click the button, and then when we initialize WebNative, it takes them over to the WebNative lobby or the Fission lobby, does the login, redirects them back here, everything's good. But what about the case where you come to Mumblr and you're already logged in? So for example, if you come over to mumblr.netlify.app, already logged in, here's the log out. One of the things that someone was mentioning to me is with this, with a change from password-based auth to sort of this key-based auth, as long as you have the key, the door should auto unlock for you. And so, it will, I'm not sure how I want to handle this from a UX perspective of like I think what we will probably want to do is also check if the user is already logged in. If so, show the right things. Oh, maybe that's actually the first, maybe that's how we branch this. Maybe at the top of the code, it's, all right, up here, the very beginning, check if the user's logged in. Not sure how to do that yet, but we'll figure that out. If so, if user is not logged in, hide the logout or hide the interface. The user is logged in, show the login button. I love how like Copilot tries to write comments for me. Thanks, Copilot, doing a great job. So hardworking. And then, how might we do this? Okay, so the easiest way to know, currently we have this little bit of code right here, which tries to initialize WebNative. If you try to initialize WebNative locally, then you're basically asking for permissions to the WebNative file system on behalf of the user. I think this will cause the redirect, right? Because you get the redirect and then you come back. So we're going to await. When you come back to this page, you have this switch statement that you hit where the auth was either canceled by the user in the lobby. This is basically the results of what happened in the auth lobby. And so, well, I can add this to my list of questions. I have. So remember, if you hung out last time for the last session, I made a long list of things to ask about. And tomorrow afternoon, I'm hanging out with Brian Gens from the Fission team, and I'm going to ask him about all of these things. And one of the questions is, how do I know if the user is already logged in? Which in our world means already has a key to the Fission, to the file system. All right, so we'll, not sure how that works exactly. What we'll do is we will by default hide the interface, which currently it starts out hidden. We start out with the display none, so nothing to do here yet. Figure out how to do that, and then if the user is logged in, show the login button. Currently it starts out shown. So we can improve this logic once we understand what the logic is. Then what we will need to do is when the user clicks the login button, do the initialize. And so what I'm now going to need to do is wrap this whole thing in a function, which I have this terrible syncing feeling is going to cause me problems because of like top level awaits and stuff like that. But let's see how this works. Alrighty. Yep. Here's the error that I was expecting. So await expressions are only allowed within async functions. We'll call this an async function, and maybe we will just be lucky here. Okay, so I need to open a new browser window. Well, let's see if it works with our existing one. Oh, right. We had just said that if you get back from the login, we need to show the interface now, which would be a couple things. We'll want to grab this log out button and log out style display block. We'll want to grab just a couple other things. What all do we hide? Do a quick get status, get diff on the CSS file. There we go. Oops. That's changes in actually get diff source style CSS. We hid title input, body input, and yeah, title input and body input. All right, so looks like we doubled our, like changed more than we needed to, right? Because this title input, there's title input, there's both, there's that. So we can probably just make this one change and ignore these other two. Let's go do that real quick in the CSS. So CSS, here we go. Title input, I can probably hide that, or remove that, sorry. And what was the other one? Body input. Oh, the text area. I'm seeing 3 of them here, but maybe I'm misreading this. That's line 155 to 166. All good. All right, so there's our display button. Display none, display none. Oh, this is just me reading this wrong. Okay, cool, yeah. We have to display none, the title and body input, the post button, and the log out button. So we will need to grab oh, right, I have to name this. This is kind of repetitive. Maybe you should write like a loop to do this instead, but I'm just going to copy paste and we'll clean it up later. Oh, almost nailed it. And we'll do one more, which will be the post button. Yeah, post button. There it is. So, oops. Let me see if I can get the %s to work this time. %s. No, not %s. I want to do select s slash body. Oh yeah, this won't exactly work. Post G. Pretty close. And then I can do it again. S slash input Find input, replace with button. Yeah, it's not bad. And then button. And I don't think, are all these input elements? Interesting. So yeah, I guess all form fields are input elements, which is kind of a interesting note there. All right, so now we've got login with Fission. I am already logged in here. So clicking this should actually not take me to the lobby. It should just immediately show everything. Woo! Bazinga. All right, so, oh yeah, we forgot to hide the login button. Yep, gotta do that too. So login, add event listener. I don't think it's in scope here. All right, so click here. It is in scope. My scoping knowledge of JavaScript and TypeScript's a little weak here. There we go. So there's show the interface, hide the login button, which we did. All right, so that's all good. Now we get what we want. We don't have a way to auto check yet, but we're going to figure that out. Now, what we were really going for is the first time user experience not sucking. So let's open up another browser where I don't have the cookies. Go to login localhost. Great, we have this nice like login with Fission experience. I click. Interesting. Do you guys see that flicker? So, might want to think about how we want to handle that. Like it shows everything before main initializes. So we might be able to solve it like this is await main, and then I'm actually really curious what happens when we get redirected back here. All right, so let's try it again. Localhost 3000. Now we're gonna wait for the main loop to complete before we show the interface. So click that. Heckgummit, did it again. Wonder why it does that flicker. Right, because it's an async function, but we're saying await until it's done. This is also awaiting the initialize. I don't know. It's an interesting question here. Maybe because this is an async function, await actually means nothing within this. I'm just going to put it to do here as well. Why does this not finish before the items below are hidden? I'm going to add this to my growing list of questions for Brian. How does async work? Or sorry, await work in an async function when I want to wait on the results of a function call before taking the rest of the actions? Things to learn about async and stuff. But important thing is it does take you here. It does allow you to create an account. I'm going to go ahead and sign in with, I think, Jess Martin Fission is my yep, it is. So we're going to approve. We're going to say yes over here. We're just now adding our keys into this browser's cache over here. Interesting. Looks like it didn't redirect back. All right, come in. Again, we aren't able to yet auto detect whether you're logged in or not. And so it's going to show this even though I should be logged in. But once I click this, oh, weird. It's like we're getting some kind of error. Let's pop open the console. This looks like a problem in WebNative. Not my problem. Not my problem. Okay, well, like we might have uncovered a WebNative bug. And our session just ended. Cool. Well, let's see. Let's jump over. Man, normally I do 2-hour sessions, and today's 1-hour session absolutely flew by. Thanks for hanging out for Coding with Jess. We looked at some pretty simple stuff today. Let's go look at our to-do list. We did move the logout button to the right place, which felt nice to get that little thing done. We did create a login button, and that seems to work, but we also ran into this, which looks like an error in WebNative, so I'll bring that up with the Fission team and just see why that might be failing. I had some other stuff of like, if we get really far really fast, we can create an about page, separate out the YAML front matter, do some other stuff like that, but all good stuff. So yeah, and at the very beginning, we got to play with this little badger thing as well, a little e-ink device. So thanks for hanging out on Coding with Jess. We'll do this again next week, and next week will be the normal 2-hour session we'll continue working on Mumblr. And Million Grad, thanks for hanging out for the live stream and chatting in the chat. It's always great to have company while I'm working on this, and awesome that you're also able to follow along with the work I'm doing. So see you guys next time. Later.